What's up, everybody? Welcome into a brand new episode of ChattTenn Sports, where we're talking all things Tennessee sports and everything in between. Feel free to chat live with us right now, interact with us, or if you're listening after, connect with us through social media by finding us at ChattTenn Sports anywhere that you are on social. Also, if you're new to us, go to ChattTenn.com and see everything we've got going on. But let's lock it in for a brand new show. What is up, everybody? I am sitting here by myself. Chase is having a quick reboot. Let me get where I want to be. Good evening, everybody. We'll be discussing everything happening with the Tennessee Titans. Obviously, huge week for them. John Robinson is no longer the man, the myth, the legend. It's no longer in JRob we trust. It will be a process, and we're going to talk about what we think as the night progresses and who could be his replacement, and also when do we think that could happen. Hello to my co-host Chase Green, popping right back in. What's going on, Chase? How are you today? And give me your thoughts just in general as far as the Tennessee Titans week so far.
All right. Well, number one, as I tweeted out earlier, I don't know if you saw this yet, but had a nice little workout. I had dabbled between the Joe Rogan, David Goggins podcast today, and I got to listen to it off and on here and there's. So I finally get to kind of finish it out. Took Rocco for a walk, so I'm getting pumped. I'm out here like walking hard, you know. I'm getting ready. So then I go work out. I wanted to listen to some music, but then I got in the sauna and I wanted to finish up that pod. And it was kind of be perfect. I had about 35, 40 minutes left. So I was like, get 30 minutes in and then, get the little 10 minutes rest and I'll be finished with my day. It'll be perfect. I get in that daggum sauna and it's pretty packed. It's 5 o'clock hour. People are popping in. It's a rainy day here in Chattanooga. So I'm sitting there and I'm just like, yeah, there goes that man. He can't last as long as you in this sauna. I'm listening to Goggins and I'm trying to get in that Goggins mode. I'm like, he ain't as hard as you. He ain't as tough as you, man. Those guys can't last more than 20 minutes in this sauna. You can. You can. Yeah, that's another one. And he's gone too. And I'm like, wow, this is a terrible idea. I've been in here 35 minutes and I'm just sweating my ass off. But man, David Goggins is a crazy man, but he's a good dude for this world.
I actually just got his book on Audible today that just came through.
Is it the new one or the older one?
It's the new one, and it is called, Never Finished. I'm on chapter 1, obviously. Just got to listen to it today. But Goggins is, David Goggins, we can talk about him. But I also hit the sauna today. I got a great workout in. Fantastic. If you're not moving, get out there and do it. But Chase, the Tennessee Titans are in need of a general manager. After what a lot of people just are shocked. I'm in myself in that boat. I think you are as well. What do you think about it? I mean, are we really in this reality now where we're no longer the team that John Robinson's mold for players, the way he scouts, he loves to go after Senior Bowl players. We've heard it all week. What are your thoughts right now, and what does this mean? And I know we're going to talk in depth as far as this week's preview of the Jags and then beyond, but what's your initial thought right now for the Titans?
I was really surprised. I know you have been a proponent like, hey, this is John's fault. You've said it pretty much since like week 2 after that loss again. The back-to-back losses, you don't love the Giants loss, but you're like, it's 9-11 New York team. Team of destiny that week. Yeah. And then they got better, but then you're still thinking like after that second week, you're like, man, Titans are not very good. We sure could use some depth. We could use a great wide receiver who's up in Philadelphia right now. And all the measurables between Bud Dupree's been pretty decent, but I mean the Julios, any Atlanta Falcon that we ever get feels that way. It really was surprising because I thought it would be like an addressed thing at the end of the season if he were to go, but I still just thought he had too much clout building this team up, didn't you?
Yeah, I really did. I thought, obviously on this side of the announcement with, Schefter and Rappaport giving their thoughts of lack of communication between Amy Adams-Strunk and John Robinson. And obviously some people were saying she wasn't in on the A.J. Brown trade. She was literally in the draft room the night that it happened. And all that to say, it's not just one thing. It's not just AJ. As much as we would all love to say, hey, this is the reason why, it's a culmination and just trickling over time over the last 2 years. And I think a lot of people can point back to the one moment is when Jack Conklin walked. and obviously the injury at the time, it was one of those things that in the moment you can see why it's the right decision. But what I've noticed is the reputation for John Robinson was to never overpay for any player.
Yep.
And a lot of times he would allow the guys that he drafted to walk, which may be overpaid in the moment, but compared to what you're doing whenever you're throwing money at Bud Dupree and you're throwing money at Julio Jones and Jadeveon Clowney, a lot of players that were formerly good, and Julio's in a league of his own. Jadeveon Clowney is just a genetic freak as it is. But Bud Dupree, film shows that he benefited a whole lot from the people that were around him in Pittsburgh as a Steeler. When he comes here, it's the guy's got a big old bag of money and he's about to walk out of here and probably, I'm thinking now this is a massive change for the Titans and how it impacts the players. What does it say? Like, hey, we're not messing around. We're not staying at mediocre. And that's why I think a lot of Titans fans are very content and okay with the move and saying, look, we don't want to go back down to that little dark place that Tommy Smith took us to, all those years ago. And it was rough. So, yeah, I mean, do you think it's the right move? And I want to throw this up for anybody watching with us and just so everybody's tracking along. Was it the right move for the Titans to fire John Robinson? Or like you were saying, should they have pulled back his, shortened his leash, so to speak, give him, some parameters? I don't know what it would look like. It's hard to say what can you do outside of just firing the guy, but was it the right decision, Chase?
I think it is. Especially if you're them, when it comes to, hey, it's not getting any better for your track record. I mean, clearly, and as you mentioned earlier, he's done a good job in some aspects of drafting, but you can't keep drafting injured guys and hoping that you just find a pot of gold. And understand, when you're mediocre or you're just slightly above average, it's like one of the worst places to be in sports, because you have to find those pots of gold at the end of rainbow sometimes, But just because you hit on Jeffrey Simmons doesn't mean you need to go draft Caleb Farley because they had injuries and they have talent. I get where you're trying to do that, but damn, man, like, you got to be better than that.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do it, and it obviously seemed like, hey, he was on his last leg, don't wait till the end of the season. Start being able to go out there and try your guy out. I'm blanking on his name that just stepped in for the rest of the season as player development player.
Ryan Cowden.
Yeah, Cowden. So try him out, see if he works. And then if not, you can already start contacting other people and getting that interest, building relationships this early. If you have somebody in mind, so go ahead and do it. But if they were going to do it at the end of the season, don't wait. Go ahead and attack it now. And they did that. As I mentioned, he was a part of the great buildup to make this Titans team very relevant, very good. But he was also the detriment that brought it back down.
Yeah. He gambled a lot. And I mean, at the time, it's like you appreciate the aggressive moves. You appreciate the attitude of saying, hey, we're not here to be mediocre. But every time he pulled one cog out of the wheel and tried to put it back in, it was an older version. It was not working quite as well. And it's like, this thing's slowing down. And eventually, like we've talked about, like the bottom is going to fall out at some point. And it's unfortunately right now for all the Titans players on the roster today, the delay in the fun of championship conversation. I think a lot of people are anticipating, again, we've said this all year, the first round exit or divisional round exit at best, barring some type of significant, miraculous guy walking off the street to play left tackle. We're going
to have to find that guy somewhere.
It's hard to see it, but all in all today, I think, now is the right time for them to make the move because it allows the shock and awe to wear off between now and the end of the season. You're able to go through and find your guy that you would want. And then you hit the draft season, or I guess, preparations for the draft season with a guy that's already in the seat. My curious question now is, did Amy Adams, excuse me, I'm sorry. I want to jump on this one. As far as trying to find John Robinson's, replacement, there's the risk and the reward aspect here where are you going to find a guy as good as John Robinson, the gambler or whatnot, or are the Titans going to find someone that's going to be kind of what Art Smith was once Matt LaFleur left? The guy's never done it before. He's never called plays before. But obviously, Stretch is a guy it's come up. Like you mentioned, Ryan Cowden's been given the kind of keys to the car right now. Or could they go outside, and to find his replacement? But do you think there's the potential that this could backfire on the Titans and it could be another move that we are regretting?
It could be, because as many mistakes as John's made, he actually did a lot of good things too. That's why I kind of thought it would be towards the end of the season if they ever did it, or at the end of the season, not towards, at the end of the season before they did it. But he's going to be tough because there were some really good starting years. And that's what we kind of held on to, don't you think? Like, you kind of hold on to that. Those first 2 or 3 years, you're like, damn, this guy hits.
Yeah.
On free agents or like small, like later draft picks, which he did. He's drafted defensive linemen. All right. He was a defensive lineman himself. Like, those are the kind of guys he evaluates well. He's just swung and missed on offensive linemen. He's swung and missed on 2 first rounders. You just can't keep doing it. So I don't know. Like, how would you feel if you just got somebody like middle of the road right now? Because John was so homer strikeout kind of guy.
Yeah. Well, the big thing that's a concern to me right now is this divide of it feels a little Julius Caesar-ish, or excuse me, Romeo and Juliet, where you have these 2 houses at odds because it's John Robinson's people that are in house and you have Mike Vrabel's people that are in house. Ryan Cowden is a guy that was John Robinson's right-hand man. And a lot of these moves, which again, Vrabel went full Neo today from the Matrix, dodging some of these questions of like who and how and what happened behind the scenes. And it's like, we're focused on Jacksonville, but there are legitimate questions to sit here and say, how much was your decision to trade AJ? And that's where I'm like, hey, we're getting some of this stuff from Vrabel as far as his actual thoughts of, look, I found out, I was told from Amy after the fact, or before the decision was made. Here's how it happened on my end. He talked about talking to John Robinson on the phone last night for an extensive amount of time, where that feels, again, this is my put the tinfoil hat on kind of thing. But if you lose a coworker, it's like, man, really appreciate the time that we had together. Hate this happened, but it's like, hey, man, any idea like why I got fired? Like, what happened? And it's like, I don't know, John. But I'm thinking like, again, complete hypothetical, but you have to wonder what that conversation was like. You have to wonder what the other conversations were like between the Adams family in that box when all these Philly fans are sitting here hounding them.
Doesn't it feel perfect that this happened after AJ dominates the Titans?
Well, it is the straw that broke the camel's back that a lot of people.
That was it.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like, it's not just that, and that's a lot of the national media people are out here saying, finally, and how like, how dramatic for AJ to have this incredible game and get the guy that been fired. It's like, hold on a second here, y'all don't understand that Dennis Daly's on this roster, and the issues just trail back to the history of the Tennessee Titans, because letting Conklin go, that right-hand side, and it's the thing, like trying to replace the Saffolds with the Aaron Brewers. Like, it's circle in a square, it doesn't fit. Square peg, round hole kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's not going to work, but that's where I think, again, the gambling side of John Robinson kind of came back to bite him in the ass. But I want to talk about this today. As our graphic says, the queen doesn't speak. I know it's not a huge thing for a lot of people to see Amy Adams Strunk go out, but having been the person to put the foot on the gas and say, we're going to do this and pull the trigger, and here's what happened. She put the statement out. Some people are like, cool, that's fine. But my question for you guys, where was Amy Adams Strunk today, and why was there no press conference appearance? What does it say to you, Chase? I mean, is it a big thing? Because there's not many GMs in the league that you see really talking to the media outside of Jerry Jones. And that's about it. You know what I'm saying?
It would have felt nice to have something today. Like, if you're going to make such a bold move, you better be ready for some bold moves yourself. Like, as far as coming out, you got to have an explanation, and maybe that comes later on this week. I don't know, but really felt like a moment for her to make such a big impact and big firing in the middle of the season, which I legit, I mean, I know I'm not out here just GMs hunting, but how does it feel to be fired in the middle of the season as a GM? Like, that just doesn't feel like it happens. I don't remember it.
No, well, you're winning.
Yeah, and you're 7-4.
Playoff appearances. Yeah. I mean, but the thing is, and the reality, like, if this team was in any other division aside from the NFC South right now, or if the Jags and the Texans and everybody else was not absolute junk, this would be a completely different story where the Titans are lining up. I don't feel excited for the playoffs because it's like we're going to get the Bengals or Miami, and it's like now we have the Chiefs and the Bills, and Lamar's only going to be out for a few weeks now because the PCL strain. It's like, what are we looking at as far as that in wild card? It's not a great spot to be in, and it's not a horrible spot to be in either. But just because it's like that purgatory, like, we're going to get our asses kicked, but this could be fun for the next 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Which
it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Because,
sorry, I don't want to get off the trail as far as Amy Adams Strunk, where I think yesterday it seriously felt to me like Amy Adams Strunk got on the back of a dragon and went to freaking Westeros and burned the house down. And it's like she went not Mad Queen, but just straight up like decisive, able to put her foot down and say, we're not doing this. We're not going back down. We're not accepting mediocrity. And if she was able to go today and say, here's some light I would want to shed on, like, she could say anything she would want to or not want to say. But it's just the fact that you could have made the appearance. But again, I know Paul Kaharski said this today as far as, the Roonies with the Steelers are not doing that. Other organizations are not making these big appearances. You only have that Jerry Jones guy out there who's a little bit of a personality. And I get it, but I think it would have been the icing on the cake of saying, we know who runs the team. Make no mistake about it as far as who is legitimately in control, because even Vrabel today said, who's making the personnel decision? Is it you or Ryan? And it says, well, it's Amy Adams Strunk. She's the decision maker.
Yeah.
And it's like, we know now. Like, we all know now. So didn't love it, didn't hate it. I feel a little bit indifferent as far as that goes. But
it's a really good point. And I think it obviously television changes their minds about a lot of things, but that really might be why I kind of wanted a statement, because all I've watched is, these dominant women. I'm watching freaking, Yellowstone, bad bitches out here fighting, and I'm watching GOT. It's all these women. Yeah. I think I have to have statements. I want queens in here, and I would, Ballin, but our lights are out here, so sorry, dude. Yeah, just got my ring light. That's all I got in here. So yeah, it's great stuff.
Good to see Bone. I know he was over in Dubai for some of the World Cup, which is awesome. Craig, I see you out here too, brother. Good to see you. Steven Snyder got the chat going. And if you're watching with us, do us a favor, retweet, share the show wherever you're watching from. I know on Twitter comments where everyone's dealing with that kind of stuff. So hit the YouTube page or find us on Facebook as well. But appreciate the interaction, because it is, in my mind, a crazy time for this week, because I'm gonna pull this one, Chase. We're gonna pull the card out right here, right now. Don't sleep on the Jaguars.
Oh,
people.
Here he goes. Here he goes.
And I'm gonna stir the pot, baby.
They got beat 40-14 last week, by the way.
I'm fully aware, and guess what? We got our asses kicked as well. And it's one of those things. If I'm trusting a team right now, as far as offensively, I have no idea who to pick.
Oh my gosh.
Like, which way do you gamble right now? Straight up, like, which way are you leaning? Because -3.5 in the Titans'
favor.
Right? Yeah, but it's only because they're at Nissan Stadium. Like,
yeah,
that's the joke about it in my mind. And I know I've said from the beginning of the year, they look like they could be a team that could put some things together and do something. Obviously, the wheels fell off at some point, but they're making progress out of the deep, dark cave that was Urban Meyer's stint there. And Ballin is the guy for this. Hammer the Titans -3.5 easily.
I think 3.5 is the worst possible thing for the Titans. I think they're going to win any game 17-30 or 17-20.
Shout out to
or they could win 17-13. So then you're just like, oh, okay.
Jackie Legs in the house, baby. We got to get
Let's
this
go.
going. Craig saying not this shit again. I am.
There he goes, Craig.
But
Oh,
the thing
Duval. Oh, Duval, #1 fan up here.
Easy now. Don't be saying that stuff out loud where everybody can hear you. Trevor Lawrence, I know last week is last week, but it's week to week and it's any given Sunday. I know that they are not anything. They've beaten really crappy teams.
Yeah.
I get it. But this Titans team does not have my trust at all right now because there's been week after week now. I think we had the Packers game. It was fun. But before that, it's like we're all on the edge of our seat, just praying and waiting for something to happen. And we shit the bed.
And then we shit the bed.
And here's the thing. And it all leads to this point now. Like we've said it, I think we said it last week. All these issues are leading to John Robinson. Check. But even today, Ryan Cowden making some moves. It's one of those things. I don't know what the climate's going to be like for the Titans inside that locker room. Because sometimes that stirs some things up and it puts some, flame under the booty, if you will, and people start getting into action. But what are you thinking, Chase? Because I mean, if I'm being illogical about the Jags, I mean, the -3.5. I know Ballin's confident in -3.5 for the Titans, but where are you at with it?
I don't, dude. I 3.5 with the Titans is just like it scares the shit out of me, dude. Like seriously, I don't feel like we can. Sometimes I don't feel like we can score enough. But if the defense plays great, you're like, oh, they won 17-10. Or they won 21-17, you escape. I don't know, man.
But no, that's so crazy for old Trey over here to be saying.
Yeah, but I don't trust them to win. But yeah, it could be half point Sunday. You take a -3. Probably put you down to like what, -125, -130. It's not terrible. I mean, yeah. You're not buying a bunch of dinners. You're not paying this light bill, But
let's try and put some Sarah McLachlan on and get Chase some lights over here.
Yes.
Craig or Steven Snyder saying Jacksonville got 8 miles, so I don't have faith in them. I don't want people to forget the reality that the Titans have gotten, their asses kicked a couple times this season now, and it's really hard this time of year. It starts to get cold, right? You go to start your car and the battery's like, we ain't working because it's so damn cold out here. And it's that's the Titans offense right now. Is this thing gonna work? Come on, you old son of a gun. And you're praying that Dennis Daly can hold down this side. And whoever's playing right tackle and whoever's playing this, it's always a shuffle up front because at this point, nobody. Yeah, it's all going to be the line up front, and it's always one in the trenches. It's always something, and I don't love the fact that was it Tavon Walker, that Josh Allen. I mean, we've seen teams come through here and wreak havoc, and that's my biggest thing is I just don't see this as good as the Titans defense has played at times. They've been suspect the last few weeks. I know this team is injury plagued and all the above, and Jeffrey Simmons has not been himself because of the ankle, all that stuff. But right now, the Jaguars have nothing to lose. And how much would it mean for that team to be able to go beat a division rival who has been beating the crap out of them, sweeping them for 2 years straight now? And Derrick Henry officially as the father of Duval County. And I get it. Like, I'm all for this. Like, God hates the Jags. The Jags are the Jags. I don't want us to forget the fact that this team right now is offensively inept. And I don't see any solution because we've gotten cornerbacks this week. We got an outside linebacker. We've added some there. And I get it's Vrabel's defensive-minded guru stuff. But this offense, we can't keep fielding the same guys.
Listen to Craig's story.
I know. We're gonna wrap it up on the.
Oh my God, he's still going. As Craig would say.
Sorry, I'm gonna read that for our listeners, but I'm not gonna be surprised if I'm sitting here next Wednesday with you just saying, what are we looking at now? Yeah,
now I wouldn't be surprised. Now I'm looking here, and I guess who they beat. Like they got the Ravens game, they get beat out, but then their only road win. Was that week 3 against the Chargers? I totally forgot about that. They smoked them. But then they're god awful on the road. Like, and it's the Titans. Like it's just the king of Duval County.
Here's one thing I want to say about this, because they do have 5 straight losses. Eagles lost by 8 points. Texans, they lost by less than a touchdown. Colts, they lost by a touchdown. They're losing teams by 6-7 points, and then some of these, let me see if they've gotten their asses kicked outside of the line.
And then like Baldwin said, there may not be a Trevor this week too. Trevor Lawrence.
That's true, and he didn't practice today, but you know how that goes.
Who knows? Yeah, Sunshine may be ready. He may not be, but it won't be 100%. If you're going off probables and what we know about the way the practice week works, I don't know, man. It's always weird. Doesn't it feel like after like huge moves or like media presence, you either get like a dominant performance or you just get an absolute ass whipping? Like, it's weird. It feels like it's never like a close game. Like, it's either one way, either you're delivering or you're getting that beating.
Yeah.
I'm always kind of weird off these big media moments and team moves.
Well, that's where I thought the Titans could come out of absolutely nowhere and just play out of their freaking mind.
Exactly.
And that's, I mean, even too, like, I know there's complaints on a lot of sides, offensively, defensively, special teams, even, that people are still, there are some folks out here just desperate to have Craig Ackerman fired for the Titans as a special teams coordinator. Because Stonehouse, we've talked about that, but to have someone that can field a punt, one, we're trying to make sure that they can catch the punt and not fumble it and lose it, but to actually make some progress and have some impact there, like, that's a missing factor in the game. But for Vrabel to say last week what he said of who are we, like, that we have to play this way offensively, like, who are we going to throw the ball to?
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't want to bring this up, but I want to bring this up. Help me understand. And it's like a Michael Scott, explain to me like I'm 5, and Craig, I know you're in here, so help me out if you need to. The helmet-to-helmet contact that was made when Treylon Burks was hit, there is such a gray area with, intention or, lowering the head. And I know this is the hot spot area, or even seeing guys with their head down, that kind of stuff, for the sake of safety. But if you're hitting a dude laying out, I know this is old school football type stuff. This is what we grew up on, of driving your face into someone's chest, and now they're teaching you to go the other way. But why was that not a and a helmet to helmet or anything like that when the guy is making blatant contact? And obviously Treylon Burks was knocked unconscious there for a few seconds.
Yeah. As everybody's saying, kind of the comments coming in, like, he should have been ejected. Like, it doesn't make any sense, because as you described it, he was laying out, like, what's about to happen. So as a defender, I understand things are going on so fast, and it is your job not to get beat deep, but it's your job to make sure he doesn't catch that ball. But it's just, in that play, yeah, it may be so fast, it may be this and that, but it's also the rule. Like, he should have been ejected.
Yeah, and I see, he hit him with the crown. I don't think it was the crown. I think it was more of the front of the face mask, not to be nitpicky about it. That's where I'm thinking that they're, as Ballin said as well, the NFL refs are inconsistent. That needs some clarification, because, again, it's not even just like a right or wrong thing. If you're trying to go for the intention of player safety and making sure that guys are not getting hit like this, you have to be, you powwow for a second and say, hey, what are we saying right now? Because this dude's KO'd on the ground. And we see it a lot. But, outside of that stuff, my biggest frustration from last week, not to go on this whole rabbit trail about it, but even with the offensive issues and false starts for the Eagles, Titans still couldn't get anything happening. They couldn't get them off the field. They would still convert. But all that to say, I feel like I'm beating the same drum every week of how bad NFL officiating has gotten. And there's a part of me where it's like, I don't even want to watch this right now, because it's just straight up not, it's going to come, and it's going to be one of those things. Oh, here we go again.
Yeah. It's coming. And it's hard. It's a hard game to officiate. I get it. I get that. And it's not fun to be an official anymore in any sport, but you got your rules, so you got to abide by them in a lot of ways. And let's be honest, like, I'm not trying to demean any sort of concussion protocol. I literally was having this conversation in the kitchen with my girlfriend about like kids playing football just earlier because of the concussion stuff. Because she was asking about Traylon Burks. And there was so much going on for so many years. And it was every topic, it felt like, on for months about concussion protocol, CT. There's documentaries everywhere now.
Yeah.
So if you're going to set these standards and if you don't want that wave of like, nobody's going to play football ever, which that's just not true. But anyway, that's another whole other thing. But if you're going to make all these pushes for safety, I agree. Craig's story here in the comments was talking about it's up there. The NFL, honestly,
Gotcha.
Yeah, should put the targeting rule like college if they're going to champion player safety. It's very simple. Like the ejection rule, there's going to be a lot of pissed off fans.
Hey, clarify that for everybody right now, the difference between what the college rule is and the NFL rule, because that is an interesting thing, because if it's a blanket thing in college, like what is that actual rule in college?
So college is this, like if you get targeting, you're out of the game right then.
Yeah.
What in the NFL is just it's just the 15 yards and the pass interference or something like that. I can't remember what that all is. But yeah, it's the college rule is just a little bit more. Yeah, Craig, if you want to give me a good explanation of the difference there, that'd be great. But it would bring a lot more light, because there's how many college games you're watching, like, oh my gosh, Clemson in the playoffs a couple of years, they lost their linebacker early. Like, man, that's a big one.
But it was all about him lowering the head.
It's all about him lowering the head and all different things. So
that's even
really care about the safety.
Yeah, even for his safety. But it's just like I don't know. It sucks to see Traylon Burks come back from turf toe, have a good couple weeks, and all of a sudden he's right back on the bench because of the injury. I do want to ask you this question. We don't have to deep dive into this stuff, but I saw something prior to John Robinson's firing. I don't know if it's going to have a huge, John Robinson probably, and it's the same thing like when a president goes in office. How much is he really doing as the head of the department or whatnot?
Mm-hmm.
And all of his people are still here. If Stretch is the guy, I know they're talking about people outside of it. I would love to see them go for, I forget what his name was. He is the director of player personnel for the 49ers. Ryan Couton, I want to say. Let me look this up real quick. But but there are some options where it's like I would want to see somebody come from a winning team. The 49ers have done a lot of great things, especially with players that they've developed, brought in. Trent Williams coming back for them, and just being freaking incredible. Like John Robinson did not have the ability to go out and find guys, whether they were old. And it's the frustration of seeing Vrabel in a presser saying, there's nobody out there to go get. And the literal same day, Eric Fisher's being signed to the Dolphins. Getting back to Craig's comment here, saying helmet to helmet is just 15-yard penalty, but the ref's going to throw a player out if they think it went too far. Not automatic ejection. All plays that should be reviewed, like college. Yeah. So the discrepancy there is just the objectivity for these refs to be able to think beyond this rule. It's like we just need to make it as simple as possible for these people, because it's not working like this. Not to get caught on all that, but what I was going to ask you though is, how do you see the Titans finishing this season? And I think obviously this weekend's going to tell, but the reason I ask this is because they have the third best or third easiest schedule remaining for this year.
Health's going to play a lot of part of it, but I really, really do like the end of the schedule. I mean, the Chargers are another team. Like you're going to go to LA next week, and you look at them on paper, but they're also not very healthy. You talk about probably the two most unhealthy teams in the last 4 years. You probably got them, but you look at them down the stretch, and you look at Houston. Should be an easy W. Should be. Dallas at home is going to be a fun one. That's gonna depend on the health of the offensive line, because Micah Parsons may be coming, boys and girls. So it's going to be an interesting. Like there's at the Chargers and then Dallas and then you're at the Jags again. Like you never can trust the home and home against your division foes, but I don't see how they could miss the playoffs. It's going to be a snoozer. They're the worst team. They're going to be one of the worst teams to make the playoffs. If honestly, they might get the 3 seed with Baltimore faltering. It's weird, man. Like it's somehow, some way they're going to be 10-7. They're going to get in the playoffs, and I would bet a lot of money they're going to be a first round exit, and that sucks. But how are you thinking about the end of the way?
Well, the strength of schedule helps, and I think, or the lack of strength of schedule, the weakness of schedule.
The weakness of schedule.
Titans. It's just all a matter, and this is where again I think the fact that Amy Adams Strunk felt the timing of this right now on the cusp of being first in the division, you go into the playoffs. They fired the guy now because they believe, and this is what I think, that Mike Vrabel has the ability. I don't know that they're going to give Mike Vrabel John Robinson's role as head coach / GM. But I won't be shocked if they take Stretch and put him in that assistant to the regional manager role where he just is Vrabel's guy. And Vrabel has talked about before. There was an article that Joe Rexrode put out a couple years ago talking about their relationship. And I think when Head Coach of the Year award was given, and I think Mike and Zach were talking about this on F Words Pod just to give them that credit, but they were talking about how he talked about Stretch being his best friend, but he is the right-hand man. But Vrabel also said it's no doubt in my mind that one day he will be a general manager. And it's just one of those things. Like, again, Art Smith, no experience calling plays.
None.
But it's the safety and the structure of the team or whatnot, the familiarity to make the mistakes. But it sounds like a lot of these guys offensively, and if this is the case today, I'm hoping that Todd Downing's the next to go. But if they're trying to make decisive or decisions based on scheme and attack like that, and we saw it against the Packers, by God, let him go and let Todd Downing go and give Tim Kelly this thing, and let's just do the same thing with the GM spot.
Yeah, and I hope they do, because I'm also not a fan of Gavin's comment here. It says, I 100% think they will offer Vrabel the GM job, but I don't think he'll take it because he sees how much pressure it puts on Belichick. Stress he puts on Belichick. That was a big conversation in our group text yesterday. Would you be extremely nervous if it wound up being a Belichick predecessor doing the Belichick way and becoming GM and coach?
I don't know that he would want that, but a part of me, and I know the Ohio State stuff didn't have anything to do with this, as far as there's not even a job opening at Ohio State right now, but this gives Mike Vrabel a lot. And I mean, in hiring the GM, if they hire the guy, which is why I think, Stretch and I are tight. I think continuity is huge for this organization. We've always talked about that. That's why I think the main issue was resolved or excuse me, addressed for the sake of John Robinson's personnel issues. But Todd Downing, all that stuff, I don't know if I trust Vrabel 100% to say, I know there's been times when it's like, Shane Bowen, you suck. We have to get rid of this guy. Now, Todd Downing, this guy sucks. We have to get rid of this guy. And he's stubborn as hell. It's like you give the keys to him. He might not give them back.
No.
So I do think there's a value in having a guy there to push back on him. And it sounds like from some of the things I've read that he and Vrabel post AJ trade, I think it was a Julio thing too, that he brought him in. John Robinson brought Julio in, and Vrabel noticing that Julio wasn't practicing. There was some irritation there because I forget. I think I forget who it was that put it up today, but they talked about how there was some not animosity, but a little bit of friction there between the two of them. Like any relationship, you're going to have a little friction.
Yeah.
But it worked for a while. But I don't know, man. The idea of giving Vrabel, like, you can't give Sheev Palpatine full control and not be shocked when he becomes the emperor, right?
Bingo.
emergency powers, because Jar Jar Binks, I'm just kidding. We can go in the whole Star Wars parallel if we want to.
Oh, let the nerd roll, baby.
I'm telling you, if you ever see Vrabel put that hood up and he starts talking real evil, it's gonna get bad. But I love the question and the thought, but it's like it's too simple to think of that as the option. I think Amy Adams Strong probably wants that guy to be able to bounce off of him. But I mean, do you have a different opinion?
No, that's kind of what I was hoping to. That's what I'm thinking too. I was very indifferent about it because I was like, I don't know how that'd work. One more question. I literally just came up with this because I'm looking here over to the side. If it doesn't work out with the next GM, but these players work out really well because there is potential. If these 4 guys work out, maybe 5 really work out, does it look like a really bad hiring? If we kind of just stay the same, say the Titans just stay the same, but Treylon Burks, Roger McCreary, MPF, Chig, and there's a possibility that Kyle Phillips kind of all work out, but your next GM doesn't really pick up anybody good, and you're just like, are you going to regret firing John Robinson whenever his walk-off draft, which he's gotten so much crap for, lands him, which should it could work out and be like, oh, he had to really bounce back if they would just give him more time. Well, how do you feel about that?
I'll preface it by saying this. The fact that these guys have had to come in and be overextended out of the gate, contributing at a high level, you're basically, you're asking a kid, not a kid literally, but just like this is a league of grown men who, there's just technique things, there's just experience things. So even Dylan Radins is a guy where it's like, I think he has been bad, but it's also looking at the evaluation process and saying his tape looked good. You can see why the guy was drawing interest. However, here and now, can you salvage what was there with him? But like we talked about a couple weeks ago, because Tic Tac Titans put this up, Tyler Owen of Locked On Titans talking about AJ Brown trade. Who won it? And only time's going to tell. Obviously, the recency bias of us just getting our asses kicked by AJ and doing all that stuff's going to say one thing. But if those 3 players that we got because of that trade, Burks, MPF, and Roger McCreary, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
And, if those guys pan out and they're high-end contributors, which we all hope they are, given first, second, third rounders, I don't know, man. I've seen enough Burks that it makes my mouth water to say this dude is legit and he's real. He's a yak yard guy, but he's got the speed and all that. And then I see mock drafts with Jalen Hyatt coming to the Titans, and my mouth just waters. But that's a whole other topic.
Yeah, and I agree. If you want to put up Craig's comment here,
says
too many injuries, no depth, dug his own grave. It's like the Vols fired Fulmer. I stand to this day. It was the right decision. The Titans just need to hire the right replacement. It's very true. Like there's a lot of track record, but it is funny to think about, because Chig could be. Not to make the same comparison, but he could be Jonnu. The Titans, Jonnu was awesome. He was really good. He was a really good tight end. Wasn't going to be, he's not Travis Kelce. He's not Kittle. He's not, any of those guys. But he was really, really good for us. It just was a really funny thought. I was just sitting here looking at this, like the draft picks, and I was like, man, because Kyle Phillips was the guy at a training camp. Those days we're just itching for any football news. Me and we're all just firing away in our group text. Like Kyle Phillips is burning it up in practice. Bull crap like that. Like it's what you get into during the August months. But it was very interesting to see that. So I don't know.
I'm interested to see. I was going to think about something else as far as the potential of someone just coming in here and cleaning house of all the guys that we've talked about for the last few weeks. If the idea that they could extend Tannehill, who knows what the free agent market looks like at quarterback, because you got Malik. If you find a guy like a Jacoby Brissett that could be out there, Baker Mayfield just got cut and picked up by the Rams. So it's like, who knows how it shakes down. Yeah. But I will not be surprised if we see that evolution of this team becoming an updated NFL offense and just keeping what we have as far as the Titans defense, because Vrabel's got that thing on lock, you know.
I mean, and you know what it is? The number one thing that any GM in any sport does when they walk in there, they're going to make a big splash.
Yeah.
My favorite one that I heard today. I don't know how it's going to happen. And it may just be a wild theory again. And it's going to be brought up. I don't think it's going to happen. But Aaron Rodgers is going to be rumored all offseason.
See, this is my don't sleep on the Jag stuff to me. Of like, go on.
Yeah, same thing. And he was bringing it up today. And I was like, dude, don't do this. Don't give me your Instagram or TikTok snippet and let Titans fan roll on them. But I don't know. They're gonna make us this. Whoever our GM is next year is gonna try to make a splash, because that's what you do. You try to take the regime.
Well, I'm looking at Twitter right here. Paul Kaharski just put up, without a deep dive, he says Rick Smith is the first guy I think of for the Titans GM slot. Superb first round draft record, a good man, been out of it for a while, worked with Mike Vrabel in Houston, and they may not jive as Smith and Bill O'Brien ultimately butted heads. And here's something with John Robinson and Mike Vrabel. There was talk of the two alphas kind of having that, rubbing of heads. And I think
because they were arranged marriage.
Yes. Yeah. And now it's like for Vrabel, I don't know how much they're going to give him power into making this decision, but I feel like it's going to be a guy that he's going to like. And it's got to be something that checks the box for Amy Adams Strunk as well, which I don't think is a crazy
that's how it should work, I think.
Right. It's like, hey, I really want this, I really want that. And I think, because like Mike Vrabel said, like the idea of them moving on from this ancient offense, it's like, how are we supposed to attack them offensively when we have to run it this way?
Yeah.
He wanted to be multiple, and he wanted to be multiplicity up front and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like we are a one-trick pony right now, and it doesn't work.
Heavy.
Yes.
And it takes Downing's best day to make Tannehill, fly a little bit. It's against a not very good team in the Packers, to go back to that. And as Gavin mentioned here in the comments, basically you're saying, Vrabel will give his vote of confidence, and it absolutely should, and it will.
Yeah.
I think don't you feel like Amy and Mike have a pretty good relationship, don't you? It feels that way.
Sure.
I know we're not there, but
I feel like, I don't know what happened between Amy and John, but it seemed like Amy Adams Strunk gave John a lot of the control. You make him executive vice president, and he's just making decisions, which is like, if you've addressed the problem, cool. But if you bring it up after the fact saying he made decisions without me, it's like you're kind of providing a route for his neck to be on the block and not you have any accountability with it.
Very true.
But again, that could be why she didn't speak to the media today.
Yeah.
Fishy, if you want to get on that road.
Yeah, I really do think it's just Craig kind of changed my mind. I think all she really needed to do is make that statement, walk away. Don't try to be Jerry Jones. You made that point. Don't try to be Jerry Jones. Why do that? So
yeah,
it's a wild week, man, because this just doesn't happen, especially for a winning team.
Yeah,
it's weird. Only our fandoms.
But what does that say, though, as far as like their confidence in Vrabel to be able to finish the season? Because you got to factor in the fact that they've probably looked into, hey, we're playing the Jags, the Chargers, the Texans. We got to play the Cowboys and the Jags again. It's like we could still put a good product out there, but damn well they want to have a great team by the time that stadium is built. I did want to answer a question from Gavin here on Facebook. So who makes the decision now that John Robinson is gone? And I know Ryan Cowden is the interim GM. I know Vrabel's making moves. I mean, Cowden officially started yesterday, a couple of practice squad picks and things like that, or poaches or whatnot. Jose Russell coming in here with us saying anything but Tannenbaum. Can't update with them. Let's move on. Tannenbaum, I'm talking about Mike Tannenbaum, the former GM. That's my thing too. Well, not to get on that whole off-season stuff, but this team could look drastically different. Personnel-wise, and I'm okay with it. I really am okay with it.
It needed a shift somehow, whether it would be like up front in the front office or something. There had to be changes. I mean, you're seeing a slow decline. And a slow decline in this league again, as we mentioned. The division doesn't help this at all.
Yeah.
But the slow decline being mediocre is the worst thing in sports. Like, it's just like, it's going to kill you. You're going to get draft picks, just one of those things. I don't know.
I'm laughing at Craig over here coming through on Facebook saying with the foot injury, Jimmy G should be.
Here he goes. Oh, this is Craig's Hill. Craig's Hill's going to die on up here.
This is
Jimmy
his
G.
green bean casserole right there. The Jimmy.
I don't need Jimmy.
But that's what funny about this comment though is John Robinson. This is a John Robinson move, Craig. Hey, the guy's hurt. He's cheap. We just follow me, guys. We can get him and he can revitalize his whole career. You did it with Tannehill, but go out and find somebody. Because at some point you got to commit to Malik and say, we're going to either give you the chance through training camp or whatever it is. And I think Gavin's saying Jimmy's a Band-Aid. We need a Band-Aid, but I don't think Jimmy G's the kind of Band-Aid we want to pay for.
No, I don't know what he's going to get. I don't know who's going to be next year.
Yeah.
That's the thing is you just, these players, and I know a lot of people aren't NBA followers, but you can definitely see a trend in not to steal their phrase, but the player empowerment's different nowadays. And it's going to work in the way, and you're seeing it with the trades on trade deadline day. The things from the NBA that bring over are from the influence they have and the league, and they watch it. It's fun. So these trades are going to be made. I think off seasons are going to be different because guys have more power. Like realistically, Aaron Rodgers could have bullied his way into wherever he wanted to go last year. He tried in some instances, but I don't think he could have pushed. He has, and it has a lot to do with money. Of course it does, Gavin, but it's a little different nowadays. And there's going to be, they're too good at this accounting stuff. They can shift money around. There's rosters out there that should never been formed because they can make these moves and shift. And
look at
there's going to be a lot to be seen about this offseason. It's getting a little bit more than like the NBA day in, day out. And there's going to be somebody that's disgruntled and like, you know what? I want to go play for Vrabel because Vrabel's really getting his clout around the league now.
What's funny too about the whole money conversation on the players and the personnel side, but now the Titans will be paying John Robinson annually for the next 4 years.
Yeah, I forgot to get that extension, didn't he?
He did, and I don't know what his annual payout is, and I don't know what the average is around. That's just a conversation that you got to consider. Like you're saying, they are pulling money out of not thin air; they have it sitting somewhere, and that's why you have guys like Jerry Jones pushing all these pennies in. But let's get to some NFL conversation. I know we threw some big talk out. You want to start fun or go around the league right now?
Do you want to get a little fun in there?
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Let's do a little bit of a F, marry, kill. You want to?
Let's do it.
Okay. So this is the question. We'll roll off because of last week. So F, marry, kill. Let's keep this PG-ish, PG-13, if you will. Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. Trey Wynn. Start us out. Everybody put in the comments, F, marry, kill.
Yep.
Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes.
We're going to keep it clean, F, marry, kill. NFL quarterback edition.
This is going to be – this is who you would want to start your franchise with right now.
Oh, Lord, man. This is a good one because all three of these guys – all right. If I'm gonna kill one person, okay, it's gonna be Patrick Mahomes because I hate losing to that guy. Whenever he's an offensive lineman,
just want it.
It's offensive lineman trot that he can just beat the damn Titans, with his feet, and it makes me want to throw up. I think Patrick Mahomes is a great quarterback. I think there's some young talent in this league that's going to come up there and not, I know him and Allen are being compared to Brady and Peyton Manning, but here's the thing. Mahomes is my kill for sure. So I'm going to move on between Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. I'm going to marry one and I'm going to do the other to the other quarterback. I'm going to marry Josh Allen, man. I think Josh Allen is. I know it's been an up and down year, but for him to be able to go last year and compete head to head with Mahomes, do it again this year. He's had a solid year. The Bills are obviously doing in a very competitive division. They're able to do it. They're 8-3 right now. And of course, I'm going to make sweet love to Jalen Hurts because of the way that he just absolutely bent our team over last week. And that's my story. I'm sticking to it. How do you play it, Chase? F, Mary, kill, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, or Patrick Mahomes?
Man, it's tough. I'm gonna go with the young buck here. I'm banging Jalen. You know, I want the youth, baby. You know,
Bangarang Rufio.
Man, this is tough. How can I not? How can I not do this? You know what? I'm doing it. Screw it. I'm marrying Josh Allen and I'm killing Patrick. I can't believe I said that because I mean, these three are so much fun.
So we do we have the same thing?
Yeah, we do.
We do. Yeah. Okay, we landed on the same spot.
Yeah, which is tough because I don't know. There's something about Josh and who was it? Yeah, Gavin brought up Josh Allen too risky running, but I mean, Jalen's the same way. So I don't know because I want to see one more year out of Jalen because Jalen does stuff that he just it's incredible. But Josh is doing stuff with more. You know what? Be my Superman, Josh. Yeah.
Craig coming out here saying F Josh Allen, marry Mahomes, kill Hurts, but it's pretty much a toss-up between Hurts and Allen. And then he goes on to say, killing Mahomes is just a petty Titans fan talk. Maybe so, Craig. Maybe so. We all have our green bean casseroles. We all have our things that we want Jimmy G's and stuff like that. Mahomes is the best of the three.
That's probably it. I'm going to be honest. Yeah, that's probably it.
It hurts.
It does.
It lingers. It lingers.
But I hate his voice too. I'll be honest.
I agree. And even his brother and his crazy wife and all that to say. But with these three teams right here, obviously the Bills, the Chiefs, the Eagles, we've seen some of them do great this season. We've seen some of them do not so great. For everyone watching with us, and we'll talk this one over. Who is your Super Bowl favorite right now? Because we've talked fan and fraud. We've talked ups and downs. We've seen a lot of good teams do their thing. We've seen some teams get beat at times. But, Chase, who is your favorite for the Super Bowl right now?
It's a lot because last week you see the Bengals beat the Chiefs. Of course, in Cincinnati, they've got a little bit of Patrick figured out. Or I guess a little bit against the Chiefs, they have it figured out. But man, watching Philly, they're so freaking talented, man. It's probably the most overall talented roster. And I know Gavin mentioned it earlier on and like maybe a couple of shows ago about like how the Chiefs are maybe the best overall, but dude, watching how good that whole Eagles team is, like Devontae and you got AJ, dude, they're so talented. And on that defensive front, them adding the guys they did, I feel like they've got it. And I think Miles Sanders has played a little bit better and Jalen's just too much. I slight lean towards the Eagles over the Chiefs, but yeah. What about you?
There's a part of me that it feels like this has been one of those years. There's a lot of good teams, and I don't know if we have a great team. I know the Eagles looked great last week, and you've always got to factor in who they're playing, and we don't just look around at the box score around here. The Eagles were great, but the Titans were really bad in certain areas, namely defensive back and offensive line, where AJ just cooked. But a team that really, and I don't know if they're my favorite right now, but I want to talk about them. And I know it's the Jimmy G conversation. The 49ers, I don't think Brock Purdy's taken them to the playoffs. I have the remaining schedule here with the Buccaneers, Seahawks, Commanders, Raiders, and Cardinals. That seems like a pretty easy, walk-in or whatnot.
Wow.
Gavin's coming. We might touch that in a little bit.
That'll be a good walk-off there.
Yeah. But If we're talking about the best of the best right now, I'm not going to sleep on the Chiefs. I think that they are just that team that's been there enough. But hell, I don't know, because it's just funny. You never know what you're going to get with the Vikings either, and I don't know if I believe the hype around the Eagles at this point, in the long term at least. But
Yeah, youth will catch up. But I will say this: you touched on San Francisco. That's going to be a team nobody wants to play because that defensive front is going to wreck you. That whole defense is going to wreck you. It's going to cause so many issues. They're not going to be able to score with you. They've got a bunch of talent, but like you mentioned, Brock Purdy ain't taking you there. Jimmy G maybe could have. But when that defense is fully healthy, dude, that run game, there's so much talent in their skill position guys, especially their top skill position guys. They're tough, man. If they can just figure out a way, and Shanahan's good. Shanahan might figure out a way to knock off of Philadelphia. I mean, there's plenty of talent and good coaching over there in San Fran. It would take some injuries, but I don't. If you just needed a weird kind of higher bet, like high ceiling kind of bet, San Francisco's it, because you're one quarterback injury away from them just sneaking in, or one weird snow game against Green Bay last year and you win 10-7, like, whole thing. So I don't hate that idea by you, Trey.
You know who scares me too on the AFC side is the Bengals.
Yeah. High ceiling, lowest floor when it comes to playoff teams, right?
And I mean, even the Dolphins too. I mean, I feel like the AFC is significantly better, in my opinion, than the NFC, just for the sake of, like, the Buccaneers are going to squeeze in at 6-6 somehow. They're 4th seed right now. But all that to say, I just think it's going to be a mess, because it just feels like I know the college football playoff is not really like anybody's interest right now. It's just kind of like it'll happen and it's fun. But I feel like a team that's not going to be great is going to win the Super Bowl. And who knows if that's the Titans? I'm not going to hold my breath. But I'm never going to doubt Mike Vrabel. At the end of the day. Well, let's throw this out here from Gavin Jones on Facebook saying, F, marry, kill Jerry Jones, John Robinson, or Jimmer Irsay.
Dang, man.
Oh, good Lord. It's all the ugly broads at the dance.
Yeah, this is an ugly one. Real ugly.
I know what I'm doing.
Weirdly enough, I'm effing. Man, you know what? I'm banging John.
You gotta marry Jerry Jones.
I'm marrying Jerry Jones.
You gotta marry Jerry Jones.
But I will say it would be a very interesting marriage to marry Jim Irsay.
Maybe if you're into cocaine and
I mean, you would have wild times. A lot of weird music, like. It could be fun at times. It would be a lot. He'd be a lot after a while. Like your average Tuesday is gonna be too much. But
Gavin said, "F Jerry for the child support. Kill JRob, marry Irsay." You could not have me. I would never in my life choose Irsay.
I can't. I mean, it'd be interesting, but he's probably better off if we take him out.
Probably better off. Well. Let's put a bow on it. I want to say, everybody, thank you for watching. Make sure and share the show if you're listening after the fact. In case you did not hear the big announcement last week, I want to throw this up here because we officially have come underneath the brand, and we are in partnership with Channel and Rainy Vol and Austin B and everybody over there talking all things Vols, Titans. We will be jumping in with them. We'll be doing Wednesday night shows now. We'll be obviously having our podcast feed live and active. So wherever you listen, go find us. Just search ChattTenn Sports or go to any of our social media pages and find our link tree, and you can find your preferred page through Anchor. And do us a favor, subscribe to the YouTube page. I know we got a little thing growing there.
We do.
Little seed, little water, little sunshine can make a big thing grow. So do us a favor there if you don't mind, and thumbs up, and do all the bells and notifications and stuff. It'll be great to have you every week that we go live. Appreciate it. Are y'all done with NBA? I've been meaning to ask. I'm sure we're going to start cooking up a lot of stuff.
Yeah, this is going to be ebbs and flows of season now, guy. We're going to be broadish on sports. Yeah. So we got college basketball coming in. Yeah, and also if anybody has like any kind of like random guests, or if they have anybody they want to, we're going to do some like separate pods. It won't be a live show or anything. We'll just have some separate pods. If anybody you guys want to hear, or anybody you have articles to that you like reading or hearing on a podcast. I mean, let's be honest, we can't always get, we're not going to be able to get the Chris Longs and Russillos every week, but it's going to be something interesting. If y'all have anybody that you like to read and listen to, send us some ideas, because we want to do some separate live pods we can go to. Yeah, we'll get Colin Cowherd. Yeah, he's always available. So yeah, be good, man.
Appreciate it, you guys. Thanks a lot, and we'll check you guys next Wednesday.
Love you.
See you. What's up, everybody?